Welcome back, everyone, to Crime and Plastic. How was your week?
Good. Oh, fantastic.
Well,
how about yours?
I did my hair. I got my nails done.
I need to do that.
And I just ordered Chick-fil-A.
So things are looking up this Friday. Well, it's Thursday for you guys, but it's Friday for us.
And then she's going to take a nap. That's basically a full day for her.
And then I'm going out.
Ooh, where are you going?
El Patio. Hopefully.
Do you want to say that to the public?
Why not? They won't see this. By the time they see this, I won't be there.
I've been there. I've hosted at Del Patio before.
Yes, you have.
He called it El Patino like 10 minutes ago.
I've hosted at El Patino before. DJ'd a little there.
Not this El Patio, though, because they renovated it. It was closed for years.
Yeah, it was closed for a while. I haven't been to it since it reopened.
Me neither.
But what are you going to do if it rains? Because it's outdoors.
Rain or shine, we'll be there.
Rain or shine. What's the occasion?
We haven't been out in a while.
She got her hair done. That's the occasion. And her nails.
Well,
the occasion is that I got a bunch of thoughty dresses in the mail.
Hey, you want to wear one?
I don't want to wear one.
Which one are you going to wear? The black or white one?
Probably the black one.
The one from the TikTok the other day?
Yeah.
The little cocktail dress?
Not the one from your TikTok, from my
her
TikTok.
Oh, I don't watch
Yeah.
your TikTok. Plastic surgery news.
We're just gonna glide past you. Don't watch my TikToks.
I was trying to segue.
I watch your TikToks every day.
Thank you, Roro. You need to learn what the word segue means.
Somehow, I don't watch your TikToks, but somehow I like them all. How's that possible?
I like them myself.
Oh, from my account.
When I see them, I'm like, this is great content.
Like.
So, doctor, do you have any plastic surgery news for us today?
Yes, I do. And, every week I hope that there's no plastic surgeons doing anything bad, but every week there is someone.
Lies. He just Googles right before we start the episode.
But in those 30 seconds while I'm Googling, I'm hoping that nobody has done anything wrong. Plastic surgeon surrenders license after being accused of gross negligence by medical board. Doctor was previously on probation for having sex with a patient.
Ooh. So
Wait,
what?
Is that illegal?
It's not illegal.
Yes, it is.
It's not illegal. It's
well,
unethical.
you get your license taken away.
So
why?
what are the rules?
Well, the rules are because the relationship between a doctor and a patient is not considered like on equal footing. You have an unfair.
Like influence?
Yeah, exactly.
So what if you fall in love with a patient? What are you supposed to do? You just
they can't be their patient anymore.
So that's okay?
That's okay.
So if someone walks into a doctor's office and they, whatever,
they love at first sight.
I don't know, like after
he can't treat her. He can't treat her.
So once they decide that they want to have a relationship, he has to say you have to find another doctor? That's okay?
Not really. You're not supposed to, but that's usually how they do it.
But it could happen.
What about Izzy and Denny?
It could happen.
True.
Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
Was that a patient?
Yeah,
Yes.
he was a patient.
He
and
sure-
the love of her life.
Sure was.
She had
you
her
know what?
license.
I don't think it really. I've never heard of a case come up where it's a woman doctor and a male patient getting in trouble. I've only seen it the other way.
But why?
Because men should get in trouble for all things.
No, I know there's ethical rules with lawyers too about clients and lawyers and
Like
in a
divorce lawyers
relationship.
sleeping with their.
That happened with Charlotte and Harry. Sex in the City.
Yeah.
Well, the idea is that you have a fiduciary relationship.
I know, but I think losing your license. Why did he just like? I think that's.
Well, he didn't lose his license for that.
Oh, he was
He was on
probation.
probation for that.
Okay.
And then apparently didn't do well on probation.
Okay.
And then they suspended his license.
What did he do on probation? He dated another patient.
Some kind of I think something with patient safety or something.
Okay.
He aided. Okay, so. Well, it's a long story. I only have a minute here. Maybe it'll be another episode of Crime and Plastic.
Okay. So
But
why?
he did some bad stuff surgically.
Okay.
And then he had his license suspended and he kept practicing. And then he had like some staff member get 25% cut of all the procedures that he, surreptitiously booked and did while his license was suspended. So now they just took it away.
I mean, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Probably.
Sounds definitely shady.
Another plastic surgeon for our
Oh,
prison reform.
And he was supposed to have, ever since he got caught having sex with the patient, he was supposed to have a female chaperone in the room at all times.
Isn't every doctor supposed to do that?
Well, No, that you don't have to do that, but that's good practice to protect the doctor and protect the patient.
Yeah, I thought.
But it's not a law, no,
Oh,
because it's
it's not always feasible.
not always feasible. Could be an emergency. Not all.
Obviously, emergency is different situation.
Right, and also it's a burden on some, like in a rural place, it might be a burden to have an extra staff member every.
So you have to
patient
hire
you see.
women? Is that like a quota?
Hiring women is always a good policy.
It's always a good policy.
But I'm saying, is that like a quota? Like, oh man, we need a woman.
How often do you think that happens, though, that doctors have relationships with their patients? I bet it happens a lot.
I think it happens a lot. It probably
Really?
happens in plastic surgery more than other specialties.
Because remember,
But these plastic surgeons are not cute.
do you remember?
Some of them are.
So
I can only think of one.
You can think of at least two.
no, but remember Shatina and
Shatina?
remember her? She had a relationship with the doctor who then ended up killing her boyfriend.
But was she his patient?
Yeah, that's how they met.
Oh.
Oh.
He did Botox on her.
Well, I
Right.
guess that's why they have these
Right.
rules.
Yeah.
That's one of the regs to stop plastic surgeons from killing or being killed.
Yes.
Wait, what's the...
Yes.
Oh, yeah, never mind. Sorry.
You remember the second doctor?
Yeah, there's two.
Why did I know before she knew?
Guys, they're not in this room.
They're not in this room. Definitely not in this room. All
Okay,
right. So
well,
that was
thank-
more than a minute, but that's the
Well,
I
that is
wish they were in this room.
that was a story I would like to hear more about. So
in the future.
in the future episode.
We'll delve into all the sex crimes committed by plastic surgeons.
But I
Like-
feel like if it's consensual, like...
Well,
It
if
is, but there's a power dynamic that's not fair.
if he got in trouble for it, I'm sure something bad happened, and that's how they found out.
Of course, it didn't end well.
It didn't end well, so that's usually if they got married, he wouldn't have been on probation.
Right.
Correct. Correct. And like,
Where was this?
it's okay if like
Delma.
you have a girlfriend and she becomes your patient, or a wife and she becomes your patient. It's just then when you meet as doctor patient, where there's
Right.
that imbalance, you have her care and you have to take care of her.
So like you could operate on your wife, but you couldn't operate on someone and then start dating her.
But I think
Correct.
after the fact, you should be able to, like, once they're done, like, how long term is care? Like, what the fuck?
Well, that's where it gets. That's for the board to decide ethically. But
Gets
like,
murky.
it gets murky. But theoretically, yeah, once you get breast implants and then you meet them out somewhere, it might be different. But especially if other parts of medicine, you have a heart disease, you have cancer, you're controlling. You have like literally
Remember
life
the
and
show
death.
with Hugh Grant?
Yes,
That was terrible.
that was terrible.
The Undoing. Guys, it's a great show.
I didn't watch that.
Oh, it was good.
It's a great show.
He's so mean, Hugh Grant.
I don't like Hugh
so
Grant.
mean.
I don't
Okay.
know why. I never was sold on him.
Well, thank you, doctor, for that interesting fact, news in the crime and plastic surgery world.
Mhm.
I'm going to do more research on that and the ethical implications of dating patients.
Thank you.
And we'll talk about it in another episode. Today and the next episode, we're gonna talk about the area of like doing unlicensed activity in the plastic surgery world, which happens unfortunately a lot in Miami.
Yes.
It does. This first story doesn't happen in Miami though. So in 2018, there's a med spa in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's called VIP Med Spa, and they do Botox, injectables, and vampire facelifts.
Hmm.
So you want to explain what a vampire facelift is, doctor?
Well, I don't do it, but I believe it's like the PRP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you take the patient's own blood, you spin it in a machine, you get the platelet-rich plasma, which the platelets are supposed to, the platelets are these little things that float around in your bloodstream, and they have these, growth factors and things like that are inside them, like little balloons.
Mm-hmm.
And you spin them down, and then you put them in in the solution, and then you put in things calcium chloride in it. It pops them. So all the little factors come out, and then you inject it into the skin.
And what's it supposed to do?
It's supposed to stimulate, all kinds of interesting stuff to happen.
Why did
Does
you
it
say
work?
it like that?
It does. In some cases, it works. The science, was very theoretical, but more and more studies are showing that it does do something.
Right.
But what is it doing? You look younger.
Growth factors.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to make you look younger.
Yeah, like
It's like
increase collagen production. It's supposed to help prevent hair loss or make hair grow back or make the transplanted hair stay more. All these things are, even cartilage in the knee, it's supposed to help it grow back. So it's called a vampire facelift because you have to suck out vials and vials of your own blood and then have it spun out in a little machine to separate out the platelets and the growth factors and things like that. And then it's re-injected.
Right. So that procedure got popular, I think, in like 2010s. Kardashians were doing it, so it became a popular menu item at med spas. And just a little bit, if you could tell us, how med spas are different than regular spas. It's not like just going to like get a massage or a manicure. Like, what happens at med spas?
So I happen to own a med spa.
You did.
For 5 years.
You did.
Back in the 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, it's a place where you have medical, either doctors or nurses or PAs, medical extenders that are there to do injectables, Botox, laser hair removal, vampire facelifts, that sort of non-surgical stuff.
So it's like a place but it is medical.
It's medical. It's much more medical than spa.
Okay.
There's no like foot massages or usually that kind of stuff. Although I guess some could do facials and things like that. But generally, it's hair removal, tattoo removal, laser stuff, Botox, fillers, vampire facelifts. That's it.
So you should have medical professionals involved.
You
They
have
do
to.
facials.
Sometimes I'll have an esthetician there, but not always.
But if it's a medical spa, like a doctor usually supervises it, and
You have to have a medical
director. Right.
Yeah.
So this VIP med spa was owned by Maria Ramos de Ruiz,
Mm-hmm.
and she was a cosmetologist, and they were doing all these procedures there, injectables, vampire facelifts, all that stuff. And then in 2018, one of their patients contracted HIV, and it was traced back to the vampire facial.
How did they trace it back?
I'm not sure how the Department of Health does that, but they traced it back because I think what happened was in 2018, someone contracted HIV,
Uh-huh.
and then another person in 2019. And then they did a questionnaire, and they were both like the
Customers there.
Yeah. So, and they tested a bunch of people who went there. So yes.
Okay. I'm a little skeptical. Every person who gets HIV nowadays gets like tracked by the Department of Health to figure out where they got it. That's so unusual.
I don't know.
Usually, people get HIV from having sex, from needles, from all kinds of things.
It could be that they never had sex and they contracted they.
No,
okay, so that's what I want to get to. I want to drill down on that.
I don't know. I don't know I don't know who the victims are. I just know that they somehow traced it back to this med spa, and they did the Board of Medicine in New Mexico did an inspection of the place.
Yeah.
And they found out. So not only was she was a cosmetologist, her license had expired.
And there was no doctors at all there?
No medical professionals. They had fake licenses on the board for like Botox and fillers. Like I guess that they did courses and that stuff.
Uh-huh.
And they were doing cellulite treatments, butt enhancements. I don't know what they were doing, all kinds of medical stuff that a medical professional should be there. And so those two, and then they also found unmarked vials of blood, they were unlabeled, and open needles. And very unsanitary and unsterile things going on that would risk obviously the spread of diseases. So just to maybe kind of educate the audience, what kind of sterile procedures should be happening, at a place like that. And also, which is, something you always talk about, they had the unmarked stuff in the refrigerator with food, and It was all
Gross.
like all that kind of unsanitary stuff. So yeah, so tell us a little bit about like what a sterile sanitary place should look like.
Well, you can't see it when you walk in. It's going to be something in the back.
Right.
Okay, so in the back, first of all, everything should be disposable. All your needles, all your syringes, every part and piece that's in contact with the patient should be disposable as much as humanly possible. And the things that you have to reuse have to be sterilized in an autoclave. It's just like a machine that makes it very hot and under a lot of pressure and cleans it and sterilizes it. Kills every bacteria, every virus, every spore that could be there. So, and they have small machines that you might see at a dentist's office, and they have bigger machines that you'll see in like our office, But everything has to be single use. You can't like reuse needles, obviously, right?
Did they used to?
Yeah. I mean,
They had those big metal
back
needles.
in the day, yeah.
Yeah, no, I know the glass syringes they used to
but
have.
they would boil them or re-sterilize them in some way, even then, in the olden days. But and in other countries where the resources are scarce, they still to this day reuse
sterilized needles.
Yeah, they try to sterilize. But there's a whole you go to school to learn how to sterilize instruments. Like it's not
right. It's no joke.
It's no joke. And definitely medicine should not be kept in a fridge with food. And even the refrigerators that keep medicine have to have logs so you know that the temperature is at the right temperature so bacteria doesn't grow. And then it has to be on a power backup system or something because if the power goes out, you'll see you're not in the building and the power goes out and then it's hot and the medicine can go bad.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It reminded me of that cryogenics lab in San Francisco where these like millionaires had their bodies kept and then the power went out and they defrosted.
Oh, that's terrible.
I know.
That happened?
It happened, yeah. So
That's funny.
it's the point is that's why these refrigerators are special.
Okay.
That's all.
So they were doing none of that. None of that. So what would happen? Would anything besides obviously getting diseases happen from injecting someone else's blood?
You could die. If it's not your blood type, it can kill you. You get a transfusion reaction. You could die.
Even from a vampire facelift, like from the
no,
the
but
PRP?
no, you wouldn't. You probably wouldn't die from PRP. You'd die if it was transfused into your veins, but in your face, it would give you a massive inflammatory reaction.
That's terrible.
Yes, it would not be good.
So
I think HIV is pretty.
Yeah, that's pretty bad too. I mean,
bad.
that's a lot worse. So yeah, so if you had unmarked tubes of blood, it would be easy to mix up.
Of course.
And
even when they're marked, people mix them up. When you're injecting blood, you need two nurses or doctor and a nurse to visually confirm the serial numbers on the blood and the patient's armband. Like two people have to double check each other. Kind of like flying a plane with two pilots. Like you can't just have one person inject blood.
so
That's how critical it is,
Yeah.
I'm saying.
So they found 2 people traced back that contracted HIV. Both had vampire facials at this place. And they said, the Department of Health said there was over 100 people who received these treatments. And they encouraged everyone to get tested. They set up testing sites for all the patients of this Medspa to get tested. Can you imagine how panicked they were?
How many people were positive?
2 in 2019, but unfortunately, just last month, another person was found HIV positive, traced back to the vampire facial.
So what do they think happened? They reused needles, or the machine they spun the blood in?
Well, they were not doing proper.
That's fucking terrible.
No, but you can't. You don't get HIV just because you leave your medicine out in the open.
No,
it has
but
to be.
if they-
It comes from person to person.
They had open needles and they had.
So you're saying they reused needles?
They don't say exactly what happened, and she didn't admit. I'll tell you what happened to her, but she didn't say. But when they went to investigate the place, there was open needles, there was unmarked vials of blood, and I don't know, maybe one of the employees had it, and they, didn't wear gloves. I don't know. Or
No, I'm gonna make a hypothesis.
Okay.
I'm gonna say that the culprit is the machine that they spun the blood in. They probably had reusable centrifuge canisters instead of disposable ones. And they probably just trying to clean them out.
But wouldn't you think more people would have been
affected
if that were
3
the case?
people is a lot.
Yeah.
It's
It's not
a lot.
so easy to, like HIV is not a super, It's not a super hardy virus. It's not like COVID. Like you can't like survive on surfaces very long. You can't. That's why you have to transmit it by serious intimate contact or blood to blood. You know.
So having the chances of contracting HIV is probably like next to zero, right? I mean, if this was all done properly and
Yeah,
and everything,
zero.
It's zero.
No, it is zero.
It is zero.
It is zero.
And this was 3 out of 100. That sounds like a lot.
It's not good.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, like I said, HIV it's not
Easily transmittable.
No, and it's easy to kill. Like you just wipe down your surfaces with the little wipey things.
So just basic
normal
sanitation.
antiseptic technique is fine.
So you think they weren't even washing? So the way a centrifuge works, guys, is you put in tubes of blood and then you press a button and it spins. So what he's saying is that the tubes of blood were not disposable, so they were just like inserted. They would put the blood into the tubes again and again.
Right, or clean it out, like wash it in the sink or something.
That's terrible.
I'm guessing. I don't really know, but I can't imagine another way that
Unless they reuse needles.
Like when HIV first became an epidemic in the 80s, people used to get it from dentist offices.
Right, I remember.
Because either the autoclaves were not, all the time, and the autoclaves were not either working right or they didn't get hot enough, and so like in a dentist's office, they reuse those little picks. At least in the old times, now they have more disposable ones, but those little picks they do to like get the stuff out from between your teeth, those little metal hooks, the little, what do you call the thing that scrapes the tartar off your teeth?
I thought it was called the scraper.
Scrapers. So they reuse those, and so and your teeth bleed, and so there'd be blood on the scraper, and they wouldn't get cleaned properly, and then you go back, etc. So it can survive on those surfaces if it's like a chunk of blood and it's not cleaned right.
Ew.
Never go to the dentist.
But that
again.
is how, I mean. But think about how dentistry was practiced until they had autoclave.
I know, but why did they have?
It wasn't a big deal until HIV. It wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, but didn't people get other diseases from it?
No, everybody has herpes on your mouth by the time you're an adult. It's a bit.
What?
Yeah. What do we think cold sores are?
So, yeah, that's terrible.
I know that's terrible, but and there were dozens of people that got HIV from dentist offices.
I remember that. I remember that was.
So this is why I think it's probably the equipment that they were using. It wasn't like the staff was bleeding into them. You know what I mean? I don't think that.
Yeah, I mean, whatever they had a lot of violations. They got shut down, and
did they go to jail?
She got arrested on 24 felony counts of practicing medicine without a license and all of that. That was, I think, 2019, 2020. She pled guilty last year and she got convicted. She pled guilty, so obviously she was convicted, and 3.5 year sentence in prison.
Is she in prison now?
Yeah.
Oh.
She's in prison now. But she should be, her sentence started 2022, so she should be out in a few years.
Probably good behavior should be out faster.
What is the usual inspection process for a med spa? Does the state inspect those facilities?
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so.
The state of Florida would have to use all of their fucking funds.
There's so many med spas.
There's so many med spas.
I mean, our surgery center gets inspected.
And we have to keep up with quarterly quality review.
Yeah, and they make you register your office so they know to inspect you, and either you get inspected yearly or every 3 years, depending on your certification that you have.
Right.
But I think this one was more of an emergency reaction inspection because they had the issue with the patients with HIV.
Right.
So they were flagged.
There has to be more to this story, as far as how the state found out that those specific people had HIV and traced it back. Interesting.
It probably was a girl who was young, maybe a virgin,
Oh, right. It could be. That's what I'm saying. There's got to be something to the story there.
Well, maybe I think that someone, like you said, probably contracted HIV unexpectedly and had no reason to.
See, that makes sense.
And then she filed a complaint with the Board of Health, the Board of Medicine, that this happened to me, so they investigated.
Right.
Usually it's a reactive thing, not a proactive
thing.
Or maybe there's a whistleblower.
Maybe.
Oh,
Maybe.
yeah.
But
Yes, it could be a whistleblower. Like
Maybe
a
they went
staff
straight
member.
to like the med spa. They're
Yeah.
like, this is the only place I've
Right.
received blood from or whatever.
right.
Right.
And
No,
then
because
the
usually, like if you
whistleblower
like if
employee.
let's say you're like if some guy or girl is in a relationship and suddenly tests positive for HIV, the first thing you'd think is, and they didn't have sex anymore with that the other person they're sleeping with, they say, you cheated on me, you gave me this.
Right.
And then if they said, no, I got it from the med spa, it'd be like as likely as that lady dying from the spray tan.
Right.
It's kind of like left field. Like you wouldn't think.
Well, that lady wasn't the consensus that she did die from the spray tan.
No.
No, not the
She died.
spray
We don't know how
tan.
she died.
We don't know how
She
she
had
died.
a heart issue.
Heart
or something.
issue. But I'm just
But,
saying, it's
yeah,
kind of like really you got HIV from going to a med spa?
But-
Tell me how.
But she proved it. She did.
She
I wouldn't
did.
even be surprised.
If what?
I don't know. Anytime I like think of things and blood and I'm like, yeah, you could have probably gotten that.
Hmm. Diseases they're not as easy to transmit as people think. Like everybody, like I see people like putting massive loads of toilet paper on like public toilets.
That's not even against this conversation. You take shits on, you raw dog the public toilet?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Way.
There's no way.
It's really, really hard to catch anything from a public toilet.
It's not even about catching anything. It's just like, what about your cheeks?
You could wipe it down. I mean, I shower
Immediately after?
if I could.
No.
No, but like people really
No.
think that they're going to catch stuff from a toilet seat.
That's not why people don't. That's literally not why people don't raw dog public toilet seats.
So what's the reason?
It's just gross. Like, do you know how many people piss on toilet seats? Like,
yeah, you wipe it down.
you
It's
wipe
piss.
it down
Piss
to
is
the-
sterile. It is.
I don't care how sterile someone else's piss is. I don't want it on me. People shart. Homeless people bathe in like fucking like public bathrooms. Like, no, I can't even believe that you're saying this as like a medical professional of like 30 years.
I'm just saying there are certain things that also the 5-second rule is true.
This just in. Dr. Miami raw dogs public toilet seats.
And you can eat food that falls on the floor for less than 5 seconds.
That's okay. Like that, like whatever. But the toilet seat? Do you know what goes on in public bathrooms?
I have a good idea of what goes on in public bathrooms,
But
but I
why-
still feel like it's safe.
But why are you saying like you actually shit on public bathrooms? You don't.
I do.
Not really.
Oh, I do.
Just because he went on that one.
Oh, I do. And on planes too, if need be.
No.
Yes,
No.
absolutely.
This is my.
I'll shit anywhere too. I don't have a problem.
No, I'm
this is my
totally,
worst nightmare.
I used to be poop shy.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, it was a thing, and especially
You
when I was
don't
in
even-
school.
You don't even let like if you're pooping, you make me leave the floor that
No,
we work on.
if I could have some privacy, I prefer it.
I
but-
didn't know you were such a avid public bathroom pooper.
I had to become one during residency. When you can't go home, you have to. You're working 24-hour shifts. You got to poop where you got to poop.
I became one out of an emergency because
And let me tell you,
You
until you've pooped in a public hospital's bathroom, you don't know.
how
Don't know.
No, I think
I'd poop in a bar, like on a busy Friday night before.
you
public
literally
bathroom.
just admitted to pooping, raw dogging toilet planes.
Yes, I did.
No.
As recently as 3 weeks ago.
You need to be stopped. I literally would always think like anytime someone blew up like a bathroom in the airplane, I would think like, who is this person? Like,
Me,
You know-
guilty.
you know that game that's like the guess who, and you get
Yeah.
like everyone's face, you have to line up. Like that's me on the plane. Like who would do this? Like what type of person? What where did they come from? Who raised them?
No,
And now that I know it's you,
first of all,
No, I would poop on a plane if I had to.
what?
listen.
If you have to, I don't hold in poop. I had to go to the hospital once. I never will hold in poop again, ever.
I feel like you could reasonably hold in poop.
Not if you're on a 14-hour flight.
I don't know. I
if
could
you
never.
have diarrhea, you got to go.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, but when it's diarrhea, like if it's coming out, like you can do that in a squatting position. You don't need that. There does not need to be contact.
Oh, I always contact.
No. No.
Full.
So what are you saying? You shouldn't poop on a plane, or because he poops on the plane without putting a toilet seat
No,
cover?
I'm saying
in general,
in
she doesn't
general,
like the idea.
I don't even like having to pee on a plane. Like I don't like being in a plane bathroom.
I don't.
What? 14 hours?
The bathroom is this small. The aim, like people's aim on a bathroom that's going like this is it's abysmal. Like
You wipe it down.
no, why am I touching other people's piss?
It's sterile.
No. And
How
they're
is
short.
How is piss sterile?
It is. There's no bacteria in it, unless you have a UTI, which is,
Which is
It's just possible.
common.
even so, whatever. It's on your finger.
You just have to wash your hands.
There are
guys.
more bacteria inside your body than cells in your body.
Yes.
There's more bacteria on your skin than human
I
beings
hear
on
that.
the planet.
I'm not.
So I mean,
I
deal
don't
with it.
care about what's in
I don't
my
feel
body.
as strongly as she does about this.
Wait,
I will pee and poop in an airplane bathroom if I have to.
I
But
would-
I don't normally have to. But him, he can't even sit through a movie without going to the bathroom.
I have a small bladder,
I'm like,
and
Can
I
you
like to
just
drink
wait?
water.
I don't like this.
Going back to the plane bathrooms, first of all, I will tell you from experience, Turkish Air has the best bathrooms on a plane. They're extra big. I don't know why, but they just are. Secondly, most bathrooms on planes have air freshener, which you can use.
Well,
It's
don't
there
you-
for your use.
this episode was sponsored by Poopery.
I love
Everyone-
poopery. I'm a big
Everybody
fan.
poops, so you need Poopery.
This
They-
episode was sponsored by tighter sphincters. Like you guys need to not be shitting on like
I don't often. I'm not saying, but if I had to,
no,
I would.
but I don't like that he's raw dogging it. Like in the worst case scenario, like if I'm literally about to have a shit attack, I can't. I'm like I hit legs too hard. I can't squat. I'm fucking putting a trillion papers and making contact maybe. And even then, I probably prefer to shit in my own pants.
We can agree to disagree.
Okay.
No,
Well, all right.
my worst
So,
nightmare.
everybody, that was the episode today. A little short, sad story. And yeah, be careful. I don't know what the message is. This is a very crazy thing to happen.
Well, the message is when it comes to healthcare, take your safety seriously, and especially if there's needles and blood and that sort of thing.
But you said,
do your
all this
homework.
stuff goes behind scenes. How would you? I don't think it probably wasn't a dirty when they walked in. No one's gonna say. But really, what you could see, guys, is when you actually get like blood drawn or anything, you could see them open the packet for the needle. Like every
Right.
time I go get my blood drawn, like the nurse comes in and I see her open up the needle in front of me,
Right,
and the tubes are new.
right.
So
Or
make
the
sure,
vaccines that you get into your arms.
yeah,
you
like
know.
everything should be like that, like in that
Single use.
in that packet that they rip open in front of you, and then you know that it's new.
Right.
And most places have license lookup, so if you see a license on a board, you can always like
Look it up.
look it up.
Look it up.
Look
Have
it
a
up.
great week.
Have a great week, everybody. We'll be back with another crazy story that happens in Miami. Bye.
I gotta go get my.